Hello, my dear students. Even today, I will be discussing with you on your topic of social inequality, okay, which is for the class 12 students, okay. And under this, we had discussed about the scheduled castes and why is there social inequalities in the society. And today, I would like to discuss with you about the other backward classes. I think I have given you a brief introduction in my previous class, but I would like to continue again, by just giving you a brief gist about what these OBCs are, okay? OBC stands for other backward classes, okay? Other backward classes. Here, when we talk about the Indian society, okay, we see that the Indian society is divided based on the caste system. I repeat again, based on the caste system, the Indian society has been divided. And when we talk about the caste system, we can see the fourfold division, which we have already discussed. The Brahmins, the Kshatriyas, the Vaishyas, and the Shudras, right? Now, what happened was that, okay, there were some group of people who were in the middle. They were, they were not even the Brahmins or the Kshatriyas or not even the Shudras, okay? What I'm saying is that the upper caste, okay, they enjoyed all the privileges in the society, first point. And the lower caste, because of their deprivation, because of all the privileges which were deprived, okay, what happened was that the government, okay, the government has given them some rights, okay, or constitutional provisions in order to help them, so that, they will grab some opportunities and they will enjoy the privileges in the society. Now, what happened was that, okay, in the middle, okay, they were not even the upper caste nor the lower caste, okay, but they were in the middle, okay, who did not get the privileges in the society, okay, and these were the group of people who were politically and constitutionally termed as the other backward classes, okay. I repeat again, they were termed as the other backward classes, okay. Now, according to the Mandal Committee, okay, Mandal Committee, M-A-N-D-A-L, Mandal Committee, okay. Now, what did this group of people do here, okay? This Mandal Committee, okay, they have given us a report, and where they divided the OBCs into two groups, okay. I repeat again, they divided the OBCs, other backward classes, into two groups, okay. And actually one group of people, okay, included, who were extremely backward, I repeat again, who were extremely backward educationally and economically, okay, which means most of them, they were illiterate and also they were either below the poverty line or they did not have the basic needs of, of their daily life. And this was the reason why they were put in the Annexure 1, okay. And this group of people are Malla, M-A-L-L-A-H, Malla, Nonia, N-O-N-I-A, okay, Nonia, okay. So, this were the group of people, who were deprived of all these rights and they were extremely, okay, poor or they were illiterate, okay. My dear students, okay, this particular page is in your page number 45, okay, in your class 12 textbook. So, you may kindly underline this and it is given in the third paragraph, okay. These two distinctions are given in the third paragraph. Now, the next group of people, Annexure 2, okay, they belong to the OBCs, okay, but they were well off, okay, they were much more better than the others, means educationally and economically, they were much more better. And this was the reason why, okay, this was the reason why they were put into this Annexure 2 group, okay. And the second point is, they are the Yadavs, okay, Y-A-D-A-V, Y-A-D-A-V. Yadav and Kurmi, K-U-R-M-I, Kurmis, okay. So, these were the group of people, who were the OBCs, but, they were much more well off. And this is how the Mandal Committee divided these groups into two, okay. Now, the scheduled tribes and the scheduled castes were given reservation of around 22.5%, okay, by the Indian government, but the OBCs never enjoyed such rights. And that is the reason why in the year 1979, okay, during the time of Janata Party, okay, what happened was that, some of the reservations were given to them. And they suggested that, 27% in the government sector or the government jobs should be, okay, reserved for them, okay. 27% of the job reservation, in the government sector should be kept, okay, for the OBCs. Okay, it was in the year 1979. Okay, kindly underline that particular point. Okay, it's there in the 4th paragraph and 2nd line. Okay, sorry, 3rd line. Kindly underline that one. And it says that, okay, the commission, okay, the Mandal Commission also recommended that there were around 3,743, okay, 3,743 OBCs, okay, which were found in India during this time. And this idea, okay, of reserving 27% came into being only in the year 1993. Okay, I repeat again, the provision of 27% reservation for the other backward classes, okay, was implemented only in the year 1993. Okay, so we can see, that at least, they were given some opportunities here. Now, what happened was that, the Annexure 2, okay, now what happened was that these provisions were given, for the OBCs, okay, where, they had the opportunity to compete themselves in the exams. And all these things will be found in your page number 45. Okay, now, the next is, what were the main problems of these OBCs? Okay, what were the main problems? The first problem is lack of interaction. Okay, lack of interaction. I-N-T-E-R, interaction. Okay, A-C-C-I-O-N, interaction. Okay, lack of interaction means, okay, they were isolated. Okay, they were isolated in the sense that, okay, usually the OBCs, they lived in the hamlets. Hamlets are like the small villages, okay, and mostly, they are quite secluded from the mainstream of the population, and thus this was the reason why, they were, away from interaction, from other group of people. This main problems of the OBCs will be found starting from the page number 45 and it goes till page number 46. Okay, so kindly follow the textbooks as I explain those things. Now, lack of interaction. What happened was that even the women, they did not interact with the people belonging to the upper caste, or even the children, they did the same thing. Okay, but now what happened was that with the coming of development, with the coming of reservations, and with the spread of education among these OBCs, what happened was that they were given, they got some opportunities. Now what happened is that the children of these OBCs are doing much more better. And that is the reason why they could compete with the upper caste. And thus, these are some of the reasons why we can see some social issues in our society. Okay, and what happened was that, okay, this lower caste, in the sense that, the OBCs and the forward caste, we can see some clashes between this group of people. The next is no exchange of invitation. Okay, no exchange of invitation. So what does it mean here? No exchange of invitation means, okay, what happened was that the OBCs, most of them, they would go and work for the upper caste. That was one of the, that was one thing which they usually did. Now what happened was that they would go and work for the OBCs, okay? OBCs would go and work for the upper caste, first thing. And, they would be there for the ceremonies and all those functions and everything, okay? But what happened was that, when the upper caste, were asked or were being invited, most of them, they would not engage themselves along with the OBCs, okay? So thus, this was another reason, okay, which means why they were secluded or why they were isolated from the people. This was also one of the reasons to why they were, they were not allowed to mingle with each other, okay? This was this was another reason. The third point is that dependency on higher castes, okay? Dependency on higher castes. Like we have mentioned in the Mandal Commission, okay? In the Mandal Commission, we have divided the population of OBCs into two, Annexure 1, Annexure 2. Annexure 1 group of people were the deprived group of people. Annexure 2 were the people who had all the privileges. Now, Annexure 2 group of people had all the privileges in the society, and that is the reason why they did not, depend on the upper caste. Okay, they did not depend on the upper caste, but they depended on the they were very much independent. Okay, they don't have to depend on anyone. But the second group of people, an extra one group of people, they had to depend on the upper caste. Okay, and they have to give themselves, in the sense that they have to work for the upper caste. And this was the reason why, the people have to depend on the upper caste. Now, depending on the upper caste, had something which was called as casual bonded labor, bonded labor. So, what is this bonded labor, means here, in the sense that, you owe something to some group of people or to a person, and whether you want it or not, you are supposed to perform some duties for that particular person. For example, you have borrowed some money from a particular person. Now, you are not able to repay it back. Now, what happens is that that person, will ask you to work for him for around 6-7 years, but you cannot say anything about it. Why? Because you are already bonded to that person, because you have asked some money from him, borrowed some money from him. And these are some of the reasons to why, the OBCs, the OBCs are bonded towards the upper caste, and thus they depend on the upper caste. Even when it comes to farming or doing agriculture, they have to depend on the upper caste for the land, because they don't have land on their own. That is the reason why they have to depend on the upper caste. And by, producing for them, they have to either give all the production to the upper caste, or maybe they might, they might accept something in the form of kind or cash, or even, some other things. So those were the reasons why they were dependent on the higher caste. The next is the problem of sharecropping. The problem of sharecropping. Sharecropping is something like this. Here, sharecropping in the sense that, the upper caste had the land of their own, but the lower caste did not have the land on their own. And this was the reason why, this practice, sharecropping, S-H-A-R-E, share, C-R-O-P-P-I-N-G. The concept of sharecropping came into being, Now, what does it mean here? Here it means that, there is a plot of land which belongs to the upper caste, first. Second is that since the lower caste does not have any land on their own, this, they would go to the field and work for the upper caste. And whatever is being produced, they will have to pay it back to the upper caste for using the land, So this was the system, which was there. Now, sharecropping, in the sense that, the OBCs, the extra one group of people, they would promise to pay something in return. Whether the crops were good or bad, whether the agriculture was good or bad, they have to pay them back. And if they were not able to pay back, they have to borrow some money from some landlord. So they were asked to borrow some money, from the money lenders, who were also called as Mahajans, and they have to pay it back to the upper caste, to the landowners or the landlords. Now, what was the problem here? Sometimes, some of the OBCs, they had a small plot of land on their own. Now, they will also take away the land which belongs to the OBCs. And so, because of this, there were lots of problems which was relating to this sharecropping thing. The next is indebtedness. Which means you ask some money or you ask something from a person and you are not able to pay it back. Indebtedness. Now, this was very much there among the annexure 1 group of people, and this is something which we can see among the OBCs. And this was very difficult for them. It was a very hard situation for them. Why? Because they had a family to feed, right? And not only that, they have to provide all the basic amenities to the people, to their own family. Along with that, they have to perform all the rituals in the society. And for example, if any of their children gets married, they have to, pay something for the marriage. Along with that, if there was any death in the family, again, they have to perform all the rituals by spending a lot of money. Those were some of the things. And right now we have discussed about the sharecropping, where they have to pay some amount to the landlords, right? And these were the reasons why, okay, they needed money, okay? The OBCs, they needed money. And moreover, you know, even though they had land, they had very small piece of land and they don't have anything to do, okay? Now, what was the outcome here? What will they do, okay, if they are so much in need of all those things? What they did was that they went to a group of people who were called as the money lenders, okay? The money lenders, or in some other words, they are also called as the Mahajans. Now, you would borrow the money and the money lenders would charge them a very high amount of interest, okay? A very high amount of interest. For example, you are borrowing just 1 lakh rupees, but in return, you are supposed to pay around like 1,50,000, 70,000, like that, okay? Which means the rate of interest was very, very high. And if they were not able to pay, or, you know, in order to perform all these rituals, by any means they needed the money, and they were compelled, they were forced in order to, you know, borrow the money from the people. And this was the reason why, okay, the money lenders enjoyed so much in the society, but the poor, you know, OBCs, they have to pay the money in return, you know. And this is where some of them, they even lost their land, you know. The land which belonged to the OBCs, you know, some of them, they have to give back their land. Why? Because they would write mortgage, okay, saying that if I cannot pay this amount of money, you can take away my land and all those stuff, okay. And along with that, some of them, they were asked to surrender themselves as bonded labor, which I have mentioned just now, okay. So some of them, they have to surrender themselves as a bonded labor, okay. So these were some of the practices, okay. So like I've mentioned, bonded labor in the sense that, you know, you are bound to do something, whether you like it or not, or whether you are interested or not, you have to perform something for them, okay, which they ask you to do. It might be even, you know, against the will of a person. Like, for example, you know, the children must have to work in dabas, or maybe, you know, you yourself, you have to go and do some wage earning for them, you know, for free, without even getting anything. So these were some of the conditions which worsen the lifestyle of the OBCs, okay. And this is the reason why, okay, they also say that, okay, this needs to be looked, okay, in these OBCs were supposed to be divided among, you know, in 3 categories. One was the most backward, more backward, and the backwards, okay. So even among the backward group of people, okay, they wanted to divide it into most backward, more backward, and backward, okay. Now what happened is that this provision is not yet been implemented by the government, okay. It's just there, okay, but it's not yet implemented by the government. Now, in your page number 46, okay, the last point, health and nutrition. Now, health and nutrition. This health and nutrition is one of the basic amenities for every human being. But what happened was that the OBCs were even deprived of all these benefits in the society. First, they don't have proper, you know, shelter. They don't have proper shelter, in the sense they don't have a proper house to live in, first. Second was the drainage system. No, forget about the drainage system. They don't have even a toilet in order to, you know, do their needs. And this was another, you know, reason to why there was so much of sickness and ill health among this group of people. And also, some of them, you know, they could not afford proper shelter even for their animals. So that is the reason why they have to live along with the cattle, okay, at their own places. And this was another reason to why, you know, there was so much disturbance among the people, okay. So this was another reason. And the third is that, okay, they didn't have any safe drinking water, okay, safe drinking water between the people. And those were some of the reasons, okay. So no safe drinking water, no shelter, okay, or you have to live along with the animals, and also no proper drainage system. You know, these were the reasons why, you know, there were so much of sickness, and, you know, some of the people were also malnourished, okay, since they don't have much money in order to buy all those needs. And these were the reasons why it led to, you know, lack of health and nutrition among the people. And these are the reasons to why the government is bringing up different schemes, okay. The government is coming up with different schemes and programs, okay, in order to look after the welfare of the OBCs, okay. So in the next class, we will be discussing about the scheduled tribes, okay, which I think will be more interesting because we can connect to this. We are all tribals. So I will continue the topic in the next class. Thank you so much.